Samoa e le atunu pele. O le ata oto ia I langa tonu o upa ia sa o mo mamalu a wā o le waa o maea o na whatu te e mpai lango. O le awhanga tonu le malama I le maleifi maina. E tusa o le aunga o le nei sauninga ma le whatawa ina o le so. O le aso mua au kuso afe bisala o no lua na saini ai vai lima. Le malienga whaapitoa, e whaavai ai le mafutanga wawala lata wha le wō, a malo e lua, talu o na vea Samoa, ma malo tuto tasi. O le so, ua tātou whātasi ai ma le fionga I le pāle mia o New Zealand. Malana au malanga, tātou te whamanatuina whātasi, leono sfuru tausanga o le nei pine whamau. Reverend Nuo Sala Siosi, a fionga I le au malu o le malo, male masiofo. Right Honourable Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, Cabinet Ministers of Aotearoa, New Zealand and Samoa. Speaker of the House, Members of Parliament of Aotearoa, New Zealand and Samoa, our former leaders of the Government of Samoa, distinguished guests and dignitaries, members of the Diplomatic Corps, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure for me to extend a warm welcome to the Prime Minister of New Zealand, Right Honourable Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, and your delegation. Talo falava. Thank you for accepting our invitation to join us in Samoa to celebrate the 60th anniversary of the Treaty of Friendship, which is an integral part of the year-long celebration of our 60th independence anniversary. We are happy to note the cultural and political diversity of your delegation, which adds richness to our experiences and what we share as peoples of the Blue Pacific and stewards of our oceanic heritage. No doubt this visit will carve permanence in our minds on the significance of the Treaty of Friendship. I wish also to acknowledge with appreciation the opportunity provided to me early on in my journey as Prime Minister for my first official visit to New Zealand. We are especially pleased to note that this occasion will further foster the strengthening of people-to-people links and connections between our two countries. Over the last 2 years, we have not been able to visit families and the wider diaspora in Aotearoa due to the pandemic, even though technological advances in information technology had cushioned the tyranny of isolation and separation. Earlier today, on August 1st, we had celebrated the opening of our borders to the world, marked by the arrival of 2 flights from different destinations. Our journey through COVID has been facilitated and generously supported by the Government of New Zealand and its people, and through many different avenues. I am pleased to note that we have been vigilant in capturing all these opportunities to build our resilience and taking Samoa to where it is at, and subsequently making the decision to opening our borders today. We take this opportunity to pay our respects and express condolences to all families of New Zealand and of Samoa who have lost loved ones to COVID-19. We are aware that many of those in New Zealand were of Polynesian heritage, including Samoans. We know that we have not been the most popular destination with our stringent conditions, but we believe we have done our utmost to ensure that our people and those who choose to travel to Samoa are safe and secure. Prime Minister, you can be assured that we will seek your help should there be a turn of events in our COVID-19 status in the future. On our 60-year friendship, it is a privilege to be part of the celebration of this milestone today. Personally, I feel an emotional twinge, as this will be the second time this year that history has repeated itself. On the 1st of June, 60 years later, I had the honor to raise the flag of independence, repeating the honor accorded to my father, the first Prime Minister of Samoa, Fiame in 1962. Today, I am again at the helm of the celebration of the 60 years anniversary of the Treaty of Friendship. After the original signing in 1962 by Fiame and His Excellency Mr. J.B. Wright, the then High Commissioner of New Zealand to Samoa. For my generation, the memories of the treaty signing remain on archival records and photographs. We pay tribute to our former leaders, some of whom are with us here tonight and who may have been part of the original signing. The Treaty of Friendship marks the unique relationship between our two countries. I am told this is the only treaty of its kind between New Zealand and another country. The treaty is representative of the unique relationship between Samoa and Aotearoa, New Zealand. The agreement affirms that it is between two governments of sovereign and equal status. The relationship between our two governments is founded on respect for human rights and the purpose and principles of the Charter of the United Nations, and that there is recognition that the close relationship between our two independent states is based on friendship, confidence, and a mutual endeavor to obtain for their peoples fuller opportunities for social progress. Both our governments commit to maintain and strengthen the bonds of amity and goodwill that have existed between them and to provide for continued cooperation. On behalf of the government of the independent state of Samoa, I wish to reaffirm Samoa's commitment to this treaty. We have a shared history. On reflection, our journey in the last 60 years, I wish to pay tribute to our ancestors and the forebears who had built a sound foundation for a bilateral partnership that is durable, tolerant, complementary, and understanding, and a relationship that is mutually respectful, honest, and trusting. We are proud of the contribution Samoans make to all aspects of development in New Zealand. We also take note of the negative aspects and do our best to deliver counsel through familial links and societal connections. Relationships depend on building and rebuilding. We also recognize that we can disagree. But as is the philosophy that is pervasive in the Pacific, there is always space to talanoa and keep dialogue open. The 60-year friendship has withstood the test of time and constant debate. We are committed to being a friend and an equal partner, and are much less a dependent. In the course of our journey, there have been champions of the treaty. We are proud to continue the inspiration and drive of those pathfinders towards an enduring partnership. In closing, The diplomatic bonds between Aotearoa New Zealand and Samoa continue to evolve, but the Treaty of Friendship has endured as the compass of our bilateral relationship and has kept us on course and adherence to principles and values. Our enduring friendship and continued shared history will be defined by how our respective people interact, contribute, and engage in either society. After all, we are products of our histories. I am confident that our unique friendship will continue to expand and deepen, and we recommit ourselves to walk together, whatever paths the future may hold, for us both as friends and neighbors in our home in the blue Pacific continent. Ladies and gentlemen, if I could invite you to please fill your glasses and join me to propose a toast. Can someone bring me my glass, please? Sau se sia mai lau I puwainga. Thank you, Aupito. Thank you. I would like to propose a toast to the Treaty of Friendship. May this cooperation pave our common paths into the future. Soifua mai manuia.
It is now my privilege to invite the Prime Minister of New Zealand, Right Honourable Jacinda Ardern, for her address.
Tapatapa tu ki te rangi, ki te whaiao, ki te ao maramara, te hei Māori ora. Your Highness, the Head of State, the Honourable Prime Minister Fiame Naomi Mataafa, Honourable Members of the Cabinet, Honourable Speaker of Parliament and Parliamentarians, Honourable Chief Justice and members of the Judiciary, respected church representatives, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, those who have travelled from Aotearoa, New Zealand in our delegation today, including Ministers Opito, William Seo, Minister Carmel Sepuloni, the Leader of the Opposition, Christopher Luxon. I might get some of these to give a wave so that you can see where in the audience they are. Christopher Luxon, the Leader of the ACT Party, David Seymour, the co-leader of the Māori Party, Debbie Ngā Peka, Te Anau Tui Ono representing the Green Party. We have here today representatives from every party in the New Zealand Parliament, and I'm grateful for that, and members of their parties as well. Talofa lava. Talofa lava, malo le sofua manuia, tēnā koutou katoa. Warm greetings to you all on this blessed evening. On behalf of all of the guests from Aotearoa New Zealand here with me this evening, I thank you sincerely, Prime Minister, for your kind invitation to join the Head of State, the government and people of Samoa in celebrating this special occasion, the 60th anniversary of the signing of the Treaty of Friendship between our two countries. We've been really touched by the sincerity of your welcome and the generosity of your hospitality. We're deeply humbled to be back in the cradle of Polynesia. These islands, the surrounding seas and skies and the people who call them home have special cultural significance to Māori. And I'm delighted we have a number of iwi representatives with close ties to Samoa in the delegation, representing Ngāti Kahungunu and Ngāti Toa. Our delegation includes esteemed representatives from the Samoa New Zealand community and, as I've said, parliamentarians from across the political spectrum. Indeed, the cross-parliamentary element of our delegation reflects the importance we felt in marking this milestone. It endures regardless of the particular government at any given time. And I should acknowledge, we've been joined by a sizable media delegation as well. This is my third visit to Samoa as Prime Minister, but it is the time prior that also makes these visits feel so special. My father, Ross, spent several years based here as the police liaison officer for the Southwest Pacific, and I have very fond memories of the occasions I was able to come and visit my parents. They especially loved living here, the warmth of the hospitality and the warmth of the people. Over the last 2.5 years, we've been unable to gather at events such as this to a shared priority of keeping our people safe and well during the global pandemic. So I know we are all very grateful for the opportunity to come together this evening. Samoa, as witnessed by the Ava ceremony just concluded, is a country where ancient traditions and customs are respected and valued and continue to thrive, and where democratic constitutional principles and the rule of law humbly prevail. In so many ways, Samoa is like a beacon of stability in the middle of the Pacific. Your resilience is legendary, and I acknowledge all that you have achieved over the past 6 decades. Our visit here today coincides with the much anticipated reopening of Samoa's borders. The separation caused by COVID in the interests of keeping people safe has, of course, taken its toll, and I acknowledge your medical professionals, your people, and those you may have lost. New Zealand, of course, stands ready to work with you as we both manage this pandemic and as you reopen to the world. I know that here in Samoa you'll be excited to be welcoming family, friends and visitors back as we were when we opened our borders. And I can say we feel privileged to have been, I believe, the first international flight to arrive under that reopening. And on the topic of friends, we are, of course, gathered here tonight to celebrate the 60th anniversary of the signing on the 1st of August 1962 of the Treaty of Friendship between our two countries. The signing occurred exactly 2 months after Samoa became the first Pacific Island state to attain independence. As I think back to that historic day in August 6 decades ago, I feel honoured to be standing in the place where the treaty was signed by the first Prime Minister of the independent state of Samoa, Fiame Mataafa II, the father of the current Prime Minister, alongside High Commissioner J.B. Wright. It seems only apt that the treaty was signed here in the former homestead of the great writer and storyteller, Tusitala Robert Louis Stevenson. Tusitala wrote some memorable phrases during his short lifetime, including that quote, "A friend is a gift you give yourself." I have no doubt that those who came before us had similar sentiments when they gifted us the Treaty of Friendship 60 years ago. The treaty is representative of the unique relationship between Samoa and Aotearoa, New Zealand. We don't have a treaty of this kind with any other country. It is an agreement that affirms that it's between two governments of sovereign and equal status, and that the relationship between our two governments is founded on respect for human rights and the purpose and principles of the Charter of the United Nations. It recognizes that there is an intimate relationship between our two independent states based on, quote, friendship, confidence, and a mutual endeavour to obtain for their peoples fuller opportunities for social progress, end quote. Both governments commit to maintain and strengthen the bonds of goodwill that have existed between them and to, quote, provide for continued cooperation. I want to take the opportunity here tonight to express Aotearoa New Zealand's enduring commitment to this treaty. The bonds of friendship developed under the treaty cut across political party lines in Aotearoa New Zealand. And here, in response to the Reverend's comments during the Ava ceremony, you have enriched our lives too. You enrich our families, our church life, literature, arts and culture, commerce and education in both our nations. Aotearoa New Zealand's multicultural character owes much to the rhythm shared by its Pacific peoples. Nowhere is this more so than in the contribution which Samoa New Zealanders make to our country. We both benefit. Many people, past and present, have worked tirelessly to build our friendly relationship and keep it in good repair. It's not to say our relationship and commitment to the Treaty of Friendship has always been plain sailing. Even the best of friends may disagree from time to time. But just like the Māori proverb, mā te korero ka ora, a little chat can go a long way, we've never stopped communicating. So we've worked to reconcile differences as close friends and family often do. And I believe our own bonds of friendship have become even stronger as we've travelled on a path together, building mutual respect and understanding in the process. Tusitala probably said it best when writing, quote, "We are all travellers in the wilderness of this world, and the best we can find in our travels is an honest friend." And so it's no surprise then that the overriding theme we've chosen for our 60th anniversary of the treaty is lifelong friends. Wo mā mai. In this context, I want to finish my comments today by acknowledging the contributions of 4 lifelong friends under the Treaty of Friendship. The first is the late Tofilau Ete Alisana, Samoa's 5th Prime Minister, whose affection for Aotearoa New Zealand was unquestioned. And it's him who started this tradition of acknowledging the Treaty of Friendship between our two countries, and I'm sure he is smiling down on us right now. I also want to acknowledge the contributions over the decades of Samoa's former Head of State and Prime Minister, Tui Atua Tupua Tamasese Efe, and Samoa's longest-serving Prime Minister and current Leader of the Opposition, Tuolepa Sailelei. Fourthly, I'd like to recognise Samoa's current and first female Prime Minister, the Honourable Fiame Naomi Mataafa, whose achievements are too numerous to list, but is a true friend of Aotearoa New Zealand and a role model for all, including young Pacifica girls and women throughout the region, which I have to say I witnessed firsthand at the Pacific Island Forum. Your Prime Minister is somewhat of a rock star. On a personal note, it is an honour to stand with you on this occasion. The significance of it is not lost on me, and as a personal acknowledgement of how meaningful it is, I'd like to share with you, as a personal gift, these images of the original signing some 60 years ago, which feature a proud Samoan woman voting for independence. And, of course, your father. Our paths are carried by those who go before us. And so I'd like to ask you all to join me in a round of applause to honour those who have done just that. Our friendship, with its long history that has included bloodshed, pain, reconciliation, and progress, will always be defined by our people. Standing before you today with the daughter of the first signatory of the Treaty of Friendship on behalf of Samoa, alongside the New Zealand delegation, which includes 2 ministers of Samoan descent, I am reminded that one of our most recent Samoan MPs is Inai Neru Leavasa, the great-grandchild of Tupua Tamasese Laialofi III, a leader in the Mau movement who died at the hands of police as they sought independence. And I said in his maiden speech, I'm deeply honoured to look back to where Samoa has come from and where I stand here, a product of our history, a product of our joint relationship between our two countries. I don't think I could sum up our relationship better than that. So I ask that you be upstanding with me as I propose a toast to the Treaty of Friendship. May it continue to be our guiding document for another 60 years and beyond. So for mea manuea, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa.
Tahi, nua, kurupa, tūtira mai mai, owe, tātou tātou tūtira mai mai, owe, tātou tātou vai a te maramatanga, me te aroha, e mai ki a tāpatari, ki a kapari rā, tātou tātou tūtira mai mai, owe, tātou tātou tūtira mai mai, owe, tātou tātou vai a te maramatanga, me te aroha, da di da